In our life, it's very easy to feel insignificant or powerless. All the details of the world around us can become difficult for our minds to process, and I would submit maybe impossible without some means of filtering. But so there's these details, and then there's all the small failures and large failures we have on a daily basis that can make one feel small and powerless. I think that maybe is even exacerbated for the smaller and powerless among us, the children, which is why you might find a child goes out to the yard or to the sandbox or wherever and toys with or manipulates or damages or tortures or flat out smushes tiny insects. One thing they might do is get pits in their sandbox and put different kinds of bugs in there, and then cause something of a gladiatorial arena to develop in order to feel like they are powerful, and in that realm they are. Well, that is similar, I think, to the feeling one gets when one plays this game, Gheos, only this game has points. In Gheos, the insects one's toying with are like magnetic ants, and actually they're not insects at all. They're ancient civilizations that the players, being god entities, put into being and then invest in by way of getting followers from particular civilizations that they think will be doing the best. Here's the basic setup for a game of Gheos. On a player's turn, first thing they do is they take one of their 2 tiles, and they'll always start a turn with 2 tiles, and they play it, attaching it to one of the tiles that's on the board. Having done that, they may either place a civilization in a legal space from one of the 6 colors of civilizations that are in the game, or they may take a follower from a civilization. The final choice the player has on their turn is whether or not to play one of these 3 scoring tokens, and whether they choose to or not, then they draw a replacement tile for the one they played at the beginning of their turn, and that's a turn of Gheos. When a player scores with their scoring chip, they take a look at what followers they've collected. This particular player's collected quite a few. And they go to that civilization's continent and they count the number of cup symbols that are on that continent. So for red, I have 2 red followers. I get to score 1, 2, 3 for each red follower I have. So that would be 6 for red. For green, there's 4. That's 10, and blue would get 1, 2, 3. So that's 6 for blue. So it'd be 6 plus 6 plus 4 is 16. The other major way to score occurs when a character draws from the bag one of these epoch tiles. These epoch tiles do pretty much the same thing as these guys, except rather than scoring these blue cups, you're scoring the pyramids. So you score a point per follower per pyramid in the continent of that civilization. Another nice thing about pyramids is they can't be replaced. The other tiles on the board can be replaced, which can create some interesting effects. If 2 civilizations become connected, either via tile replacement or just by getting connected by a tile placement, they go to war, and whichever one has the most swords on their native continent before they became connected wins. Now what happens is the losing civilization gets taken off, and the player, whatever followers a player has from that civilization, are just returned back to the supply. So you can really tamper with another player's investment by going to war with a civilization that they have a lot of followers in. So on a turn you have the basic choice of how best to either help your own investments or hinder the investments of your opponents. Ideally you can do both. And then how best to invest for the future based on what you see on the tile. A good tile lay, however, can totally change how a civilization is doing, not only through the war mechanic, which I talked about earlier, but also through migration. You can separate a civilization so that it has less symbols within its continent, within its sphere, which greatly changes its efficacy in terms of interacting with other civilizations and also in terms of points. The game ends either after a prescribed number of epochs, depending on number of players, or when players have played all of their coins, giving which I think kind of reflects the entire balance between luck and skill that the game has. There's a lot of control over what happens, and there's a lot of decisions you can make, but those decisions are dictated by the draw of the tile. Because of the way I go by votes to determine what I review next, it wasn't my choice to do Gheos right after Imperial 2030. However, I think the comparisons are evident despite chronology. Both games are investment games in which you get a payoff based on the suffering of others that you can control. This game feels less horrible to me, however, probably because the people, the scale is zoomed out to the point, and the world is unrecognizable. It just feels like it's a circle and a wooden cube rather than the people of Chicago or the people of Nigeria who are getting the shaft. Because luck can sway your hand, and because there are people who are competing against you who can defeat you in this game by getting more points, you're not going to get the same sort of satisfaction that you might get through crushing another human or an ant when playing this game. What you will get, though, if you don't mind the luck, is a fun exercise in competition with other people, and maybe a taste of what it's like to be something like a god.